Welcome to this special production from BLTV. Subscribers to BLTV find us on Community Access Channel 6. And this is Bill Zeckman, and our thanks to Karen Wilson and her staff here in the production studio on New Smithville Highway. We're going to be talking to JJ Davenport and also to Deshelle McVeigh. We're talking about the 2025 Ladies' Day at Central Church of Christ. And Deshelle, you're familiar with this, but you know it's always a big production. It's just an elegant, happy occasion.
Well, we do like to have a lot of fun, and it's our one chance once a year to really go all out and let the ladies have a little bit of excitement, a little bit of fun, and a little bit of a social time.
Right. And now we're talking about this Saturday, May 3, starting with the reception at 8:45. Do I have that right? Saturday?
Yes, we have a social hour. It started as a tea hour, but now we have included coffee for all of you coffee drinkers. I don't understand it. I'm a tea drinker, but we have what we call our social hour before, so that a lot of people that go to different congregations or just don't see each other very often, it's nice for them to be able to catch up and have a little mid-morning snack and some tea and coffee.
Well, but I know that over the years, the ladies at Central, and of course you're the chairperson this year, have just rolled out the red carpet, made this such a user-friendly, a guest-friendly, welcoming occasion. And this, we're calling it a get acquainted tea. Coffee is an option, but that's a chance for the ladies at Central, the organizers, and ladies coming in from other congregations, or maybe no congregation at all, people who are just curious, who are interested in this message from God's inspired word. You want to extend that hand of friendship.
Absolutely. And it's a great time that's very casual, so you can get to know those of us who are at Central, like I said, organizing. We get to know JJ, our speakers. We usually come and sit with us for a few minutes. So it's just a nice time to get to socialize.
I understand that this is an event for women of all ages. So bring the young ones, right?
That's good. We're actually doing something a little special this year. Our youngest were a little jealous that their brothers were getting pulled out to do some things in the church service, so they wanted to. So we're going to have what we call our Future Ladies' Day leaders. They'll start us off this Saturday, and then we'll go into our regular program. So it should be pretty fun.
Okay, and it's not overly elaborate. I think the actual speaking part with JJ Davenport is what, about 45 minutes, and I've looked at the outline for her planned talk. She's going to be packing a lot of information into a fairly small capsule, so tighten up your seatbelt and hang on, right?
Well, if anybody can do it, JJ can.
Okay, well, it's time to bring JJ into this discussion. JJ Davenport, I thought on the way to the BLTV studio, I might ask you what JJ stands for. That's optional.
No, it is okay. And I'm not positive. My mom has passed, but I'll tell you the story she told me, and I'm not positive if it's true or not, but it was a good story nonetheless. So I was a twin, and the plan was to give one of us the name Jennifer and one of us the name Jill. And my twin didn't survive, as happens sometimes. And so my parents were really struggling with which one to call me. And so they said, why don't we just call her JJ and give her both names? So I'm Jennifer Jill, but I'm going to tell you, Bill, I think a lot of parents named their daughters Jennifer in 1973. So I was very, very blessed to have a nickname, because in my kindergarten class, just kindergarten, there were 7 Jennifers.
Oh, so when the teacher calls out Jennifer,
yes,
hands go up all.
That's right. It had to be like Jennifer B, Jennifer W, Jennifer. So I was really blessed and fortunate to already have a nickname in place. And then my parents realized that my older sister was actually a CJ, Cammy Joe. And then when my younger sister came along, they just went ahead and named her AJ because, you have to keep it up at that point. And so at home, we were CJ, JJ, and AJ. But like I said, that was the year that Jennifers were born. And so I have been really grateful. And I do love nicknames. Some people don't, but I'm a fan.
Well, it's a lovely name. And I know the ladies are going to have a lovely time this Saturday at Central Church of Christ. Your theme is makeover for the mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
We think about a makeover as sort of a cosmetic treatment for the outward person. You're talking about the inward person. You're talking about the soul.
That's right.
Tell us what you have on your mind. No pun intended. With
Yeah.
makeover for the mind.
Well, I will tell you, I'm going to be completely honest with you. When I'm asked to go speak, I give a list and I say, these are the things that I'm good at. It's kind of like when you're having company over, what you're going to make. Because I'm good at, pot roast and I'm good at lasagna. But, don't ask me to do, something I haven't heard of yet. It's not a time to experiment. And just with the kind of lifestyle we live, I don't have just a ton of time to study something new. So I gave the list and it came back and said, hey, could you do makeover? And my answer is typically no with something new. But I'm like, you know what? I've already been looking at some things because I feel like the Holy Spirit just leads you into things. And so it was an easy yes for me. But this is something I feel like as Christians, this is a daily thing. Like we're constantly having to make over. We're constantly having to adjust our speech. We're constantly having to adjust our mindset. And, Romans 12:2 talks about renewing the mind. That's not just like a once in a while thing. That's an every single day thing. So the makeover, I feel like, is as Christians, that's our walk. Like that's just how we're doing it, because there's so many outward things that infiltrate us that we don't even intend to be a part of, that, wait a second, that's not from God. And we've got to test those things and see whether it's something worth keeping or something worth getting rid of. And so I'm kind of a real practical person. I like steps. I like, you tell me what to do. It's kind of like a diet. If you say, well, eat this many calories, that's hard for me. But if you say you wake up and you have a piece of Ezekiel toast and have a banana, I can do that. So I try to be real practical in my speaking. And my hope is that I am gonna leave Central Church of Christ with just some easy ways to do just a daily makeover, a thing that you can make sure that your mind is in the right place, your heart is in the right place, and that we're all on this walk, and we're all staying in the light.
Deshelle, JJ is way out front of me on this. JJ reminded me that as Christians, it is a daily walk.
Mm-hmm.
And what JJ is telling us is that this transformation of the mind is not a one and done kind of thing. We deal with it every day. I don't know whether you've thought about that, but I think I'm already learning something at my advanced age. We should be open to learning things. A daily walk. That's what the Apostle Paul said.
I agree. As a homeschooling person, I always say that we're always learning. We learn every day, and we want to continue to teach our children to always be educating themselves. And I've found that as a 50-something-year-old woman, I've learned so much about the Bible that I just thought I always knew, and I didn't, because you need to constantly be reading, and as your age, it changes. So I think that's great when we have all these ladies together, from little bitties all the way up into their 70s and 80s, that we're all going to get something different, a different perspective of it, but we all can grow.
Let's talk about that. You mentioned, Deshelle, that the siblings, the sisters, saw their brothers, their big brothers or little brothers, standing up in front of the whole congregation. That's a 900-seat auditorium, kind of intimidating, even for old guys like me. But the sisters saw their brothers standing up there and actually doing a devotional program.
Mm-hmm.
And you came up with the idea, as I understand it. The girls would like to have an active life in the church. So, how did this go? I don't know. You got what, eight or 10 little
We
early
have,
elementary grade girls?
yeah, these go all the way from about two and three, all the way up to about 10-ish. And yeah, they just saw other people participating. They knew that we were doing a ladies' day and that other ladies were leading songs and prayers and things like that. And they wanted to be a part of it. And I know it's not normal, and I know it's not in our little lineup, and it's going to take up maybe 10 minutes of our talking time. But I thought, you know what? This is such an encouraging thing, and I never ever want to discourage the youth from doing anything. And if they have so much energy and so much vitality and want to do this, that it was just, it was a no-brainer. Yes, we're going to throw this in there. We're going to add it in there. They're going to have their moment. Now, I'm not sure how many of the 10 are going to actually stand up when they see all those faces there. That might be a bit intimidating. But we have them working, and they've been working very hard every Sunday night for the last month to get ready for it. So we're excited.
Our BLTV audience should know that JJ Davenport, the speaker for Ladies' Day at Central Church of Christ this Saturday, is a professional educator, Dean of Arts at Mars Hill Bible School there in Florence, Alabama.
That's right.
Your place of residence, you and your husband Larry live there. Larry is a family and youth minister at the Jackson Heights Church of Christ. Talk to us about that idea of getting our young people, not just the girls, but the boys, involved in some way in service early on.
Well, it's imperative. The thing about, when you've got a little, they're just not afraid of anything. I had a concert last night, and I said, I'm just curious because I had fifth graders up there singing solos, and, sixth graders, and this was like 11, 12-year-old kids in front of 500 people. And I said, how many of you, just out of curiosity, would be comfortable coming up here and singing a solo? And I'm not going to make you, but I had four hands, but everybody that was like 5 and under had their hand up too. I didn't really count them, but because there's a time frame when you're not concerned with what other people are thinking. You're just going to follow directions and maybe do it because other people are doing it. And then we need to capitalize on that. We need to go ahead and get that word of God in those little hearts and those little minds. And that's one reason I can do what I'm doing. I never had a point that I was scared to. And my father is a minister. And so I saw him up there, and I'm like, you know what? It's probably in my genes. I probably have that too, that I can publicly speak. And we just came off last weekend. We were just at Lads to Leaders, and we have a little 5-year-old. And, that's a little before they start, doing the main things there, but they have opportunities for them to lead a song and just get a little ribbon for it. You would think, you would have thought that he was, in the Olympics and just won. It's such a big deal. And it's an opportunity for us as adults to say, good job. This is good. This is right. This is, even if you mess up, that's okay. Go ahead and mess up now. That's part of it. And what a wonderful opportunity it is for us to encourage and not despise those youth, but to go ahead and encourage them and build them up. I think that it is literally the best thing that we can be doing in the church, is to encourage those littles. So y'all take as much time as you need Saturday.
Deshelle, as a mother of girls, your girls are going to be growing into a situation where they're talking to their peers, and they're going to be talking to other girls. And it seems to me like this is such a crucial time when they get into middle school, when they get into high school, to be witnesses and role models for Christ, to say, we have these values, we have these Christian values, and we could talk about that, but it takes a measure of courage and confidence to do that.
I agree, it does, because that is very scary. As a teenager, where you're talking to other teenagers, They're not going to like me. They're going to think I'm weird, that kind of thing. So I think it's really important to not shy away. Well, in high school at least, to not shy away from those controversial topics. Talk to your kids about them. And I found that the best way to do that, because I'm a literature teacher, so not the music teacher, but
Mhm.
is to find a book where it talks about that. And then you can say, what about that character? Oh my goodness, what did she do? What do you think about that? And it's a really good way. And we've had lots of great conversations about things. And then they can talk to their friends because they know. They don't know the gossip. They know what's really going on and where we stand and what our belief system is.
Mhm.
You know, it seems to me, Deshelle and JJ, that just one person with conviction and courage in a big crowd makes a difference. Jesus talked about it. Just a little pinch of leavening leavens the whole loaf.
Mhm. That's so true. I was just thinking as Deshelle was talking, what a great mom she must be. But when you're encouraging your children in the faith, you got to constantly remind them you're a child of the King. This stuff that's around you, and whether you're invited to a birthday party or whether you're accepted or whether your father is a king, is the king, is the creator of the universe. And to constantly put that bigger picture in front of them, because it's so hard to just see right here, just right, this is all I can see, and especially when they're young. And to just remind them, wait a second, you only answer to God. You don't have to worry about the other stuff. And that's what helped us. We have some grown children as well. I guess Ellen's 28 and Emma's 22. And we were constantly saying, doesn't matter. It does not matter that you're not a part of that. Your home is heaven. Like, your value is so much more than what you're wearing or where you're going. Your value is huge because you're made in the image of God. And so it's a tough thing to do, especially when they're hurting because they don't get to participate in something because it's possibly ungodly or wouldn't look good, or they don't get to wear something, or it's a struggle. But we just kept reminding them, listen, know who you are, knows whose you are. It's important.
You know, when we're bringing up the young children, and particularly in a church environment, where they're going to be in Sunday school, they're going to be hearing age appropriate lessons from the Gospels every week. That they're being prepared not just for a spiritual future, but for their mental and emotional well-being here on earth. It seems like so many of our youth have a struggle with finding an anchor point, saying this is what I believe, this is what I'm attached to, this is what I will not relinquish regardless, even if I'm thought of, as Michelle says, maybe weird, or you're not invited to the birthday party, or all of this. The benefits of that early Christian education just go in all kinds of directions.
That's true. And I feel like sometimes we put a lot of pressure on kids, on teenagers, but we've got to remember they don't have that faith heritage that we have. All they have is maybe 10 years. I mean, think about like a 15-year-old. What can a 15-year-old remember, honestly, about their life? Maybe 10 years? I can look at my life, and for 30, 40 years, I can see how God worked in my life. I can see the way that He moved people and He moved pegs and He made things happen and He worked for good in my life. They don't have that yet. And so in my opinion, what they need to see that from mom and dad. They need to look at mom and dad's faith and be like, you know what, I want to be like that. And it may be just emulating them for a little while and not having their own faith because they don't have the history yet. And so I feel like those first years are so crucial in learning about the Bible and learning about how we love God, that I really feel like the biggest example is what they're seeing at home, and what you're talking about and what you're focusing on, what you're spending your money on. What's important to mom and dad. That's the greatest thing, because they don't really have that history yet of seeing how God is going to work in their life for good. They will, but maybe not quite yet.
JJ, I appreciate you sending us a little outline of your talk, but I think you're going to start with the idea of how do I control my mind, and you cite as a biblical reference Romans 12 verse 2.
Oh, yeah.
Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect.
Yeah.
The renewal of the mind.
It's been such a big deal to me, and I'll tell you why that actually happened. Didn't get the pleasure of being homeschooled or going to a private school. I went to public school. And where I grew up down in South Florida, in my school system, everybody cussed, like teachers, administrators, students. It was not even a thing. They just did it, and no one got in trouble for it. Everybody did it. And I didn't, but as I grew up, it was still in my head. It was still part of, like, those words would still come into my head, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it, because I knew that wasn't something I wanted, and it wasn't something I was trying to do. But I had been in an environment for, 13, 14 years where that's what I heard every day. And so those thoughts would come into my head. And so I started having just a little go-to, and I would sing, "The Lord liveth, and blessed be the rock." And I would just start. And that was my song forever and ever. I've changed it over the years just to do something new. I would just replace it as soon as that came into my head, because I'm thinking, I need to replace this with something positive and something godly. And I can control my thoughts. And then it got to be like, well, wait a second, this is not happening near as much. And it took years, but I eventually got that out of my system. Within my college years, that was out of my psyche and out of my head. And I really feel like we don't give ourselves enough power to reprogram your mind, because that's going to control everything: your thoughts, your actions. All of those strongholds, they start in the mind. And if we can learn to get that reprogrammed daily, whichever we need, in whatever capacity, whether it's about curse words or food or relationships or feeling bitter about something or forgiveness, all of that stuff, that's where it starts. And our Transform Ladies Conference that I do in Pigeon Forge, September 5th through 7th, which little shameless plug there. That is part of the reason that we named it Transform. This verse and many others talk about you've got to just flip things sometimes, be like, you know what? I'm starting over. I'm going to make a point to start over and transform my life from this point.
We talk about transforming every day that God gives us. Every day that we wake up and we go out into the world, there's that opportunity to change, not so much the world, but to change ourselves. And then the world changes. Deshelle, we've got about a minute and a half left. You might want to make the point that even though this event is organized by Central Church of Christ, we're inviting not just Church of Christ members. Anybody who has an interest in her spiritual and emotional well-being, this is an opportunity.
Absolutely. We encourage everybody that wants to think about making over their mind. We obviously have the makeover theme, so it's going to be fun. But we want to encourage everybody to come out. We'll be having our Ladies' Day, like I said, our social hour, then our Ladies' Day, and then we'll be having lunch served afterwards. So come and stay and have some really delicious food that I had nothing to do with cooking, but it's going to be fabulous.
Well, you are an excellent spokesperson for Ladies' Day at Central Church of Christ, and we just want to remind our audience here on BLTV, Community Channel 6, that it's this Saturday, May 3, starting at 8:45 a.m. I'm checking, it's 8:45. The actual speaking with this wonderful, gracious person that we just met over Zoom, JJ Davenport. That will start about 9:30, and then capping off with a nice complimentary luncheon at 11 o'clock. What a great day. So, ladies, I want to thank you so much. JJ Davenport, speaker for the 2025 Ladies' Day at Central Church of Christ this Saturday, and Deshelle McVeigh, who is the chairperson. I also want to thank our viewers here on Community Channel 6, BLTV. This has been a production from BLTV Studios and Central Church of Christ. For Central Church of Christ, this is Bill Zeckman.